Just doing it.
And welcome into a Cleveland Browns post-game show starting at the 2-minute warning. G. Bush, Earl the Pearl, Mikey McNuggets coming at you. And guys, I mean, what can we say? This is another absolute catastrophe from the Browns. Down 21-6. Deshaun Watson injured. DTR in. DTR gets injured. Jameis in. The Browns are now in scoring position at the 2-minute warning, trailing by 15 points. The Bengals, Dustin Hopkins is missing field goals. The offensive line has committed more penalties than you have fingers to count. And all in all, just an absolutely atrocious performance from the hometown team and Nick Chubb's return. But let's start with the biggest news of the day, guys, and that is the Deshaun Watson injury in the second quarter. He went down with what is being called an Achilles injury. When you see the video replay, it certainly looks like an Achilles tear. G, what were your initial reactions to the injury itself, with the timing of it, with how Deshaun was playing, and kind of just the immediate reaction to what could be a season, potentially career-ending injury for the Browns' number one quarterback?
Well, listen, first and foremost, prayers out to him and his recovery. When I saw it, I immediately knew what it was. I've torn my Achilles heel before. As a lot of people know, I've had 17, 18 surgeries, over my neck, my back, multiple ACL surgeries, Achilles heel, all that good stuff. So I know what it is to go through rehab process, and I know what it is to live with long-term effects of just injuries in general. And I know for any football player, for those that don't play football, I don't think they understand what goes into it. I don't think they understand the mental anguish and different things like that go with it. And when I seen it, I just knew it. Like, it was a non-contact injury. They've slowed it down. You can see the pop on his leg. And usually that's the telltale signs of Achilles heel. So for me, it was just tough because, it's hard to see. It's actually triggering to me because I've been on that field before being injured. And it's the loneliest place in the world. Like, you don't in your mind, it's your family, they're not there, none of that. It's just what you've done and put so much work and energy into, what's ahead of you with that. And so, a lot of the times people don't understand what that feeling is like. So anytime that I got anybody wearing that Browns jersey, I'm going to make sure that, we shout them out, and that we want to commend them for the work they put in. And just, you don't never want to see nobody, get injured like that. You just don't. Like, it's just part of the game, and you know what it is, but you just don't want to see that. And so once again, shout out to Deshaun Watson. Hopefully he has a good recovery, but we'll talk about the second half of it as well. Go ahead, Earl.
Yeah, for me, man, major thoughts and prayers out to Deshaun Watson. I can only imagine the mental tax that's going to have to be paid, at this current time. This is another year, another injury. This was a game that he seemed to be finding his rhythm, and then next thing you know, it's over with. And, this is a dude who has dealt with a lot off the field. He's dealt with a lot in his career as far as injuries on the field. And, he was introduced today and he was booed by his home crowd. And so to be actually catching your rhythm and then go down with an injury like that. I mean, y'all seen the broadcast. He was crying when he left out on the cart. My initial thoughts was, I seen it was non-contact, and I seen him grab, his heel. First thing I said was, man, it looked like an Achilles injury. So you knew what it was off top, but it's just unfortunate for him. It's unfortunate, anytime that somebody that dons your uniform and your team colors, they get hurt when they out there trying to produce for you as a fan and put on for the city. Like, it sucks, in his case, like, he just seems to not be able to catch a break. It seems like, anytime that he feels like he's taking a step or two forward, he continues to get knocked back down or knocked backwards, and, constantly got to overcome things. So, I part of me feels sorry for him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was raised on, like, you give people grace and you empathize with those who need it. So, yeah.
Before we get into some of the other stuff, it is worth noting the Browns just scored a touchdown and got the 2-point conversion. Jameis Winston found David Njoku on a little jump ball, and Njoku made a terrific catch in the back of the end zone. And then on the 2-point conversion, Jameis Winston on a rollout to his right hit Cedric Tillman to cut this to a 1-touchdown game. Guys, we essentially had written the Browns off, assuming an onside kick if they recover. They have a chance. If Cincinnati recovers, the Browns are out of timeouts. That will seal the game, so I'll hold my thoughts on Deshaun Watson for 1 sec. But, G, what's your strategy here on an onside kick attempt for the Browns? Dustin Hopkins hasn't made a field goal, but maybe you could match up some extra point onside kick magic here.
Well, who knows? I know we lost some games like this in 16 seconds before to the Jets, so maybe they could pull something out of their hat. Onside kick, I think, is less than like a 2% chance, and now you have to even let them know that you're kicking onside. Obviously, this is obvious they're going to do that. So we'll see what they're going to do. Minute 27. Hopefully, they can try to get a field goal, get the onside kick here and get the ball back. But good to see some points on the board. We'll see if it turns into anything. But everything is hinging on the onside kick.
Ain't it kind of crazy?
Strategy here?
No, but I do like any kind of crazy how this game is about to come down to a play on special teams. When if you look at the score differential, it was the opening special teams play. That's the difference in the score right now.
Man, look, we're gonna get to that. We can't even get to the rest of the meat and potatoes till we finish this, because it's been horrible special teams all day. But let's see if he can get some magic here.
Cincinnati's calling a timeout here to make some adjustments on their onside kick alignment. Based off what the camera crew showed, Hopkins had the ball set up like a traditional kickoff. He wasn't going with the watermelon onside kick where it's laying down sideways. So have we ever seen Hopkins attempt an onside kick, guys? Can you rack your brain around
I haven't seen
an
the
onside kick attempt with him?
I haven't seen the onside kick attempt with the Browns in a minute, just period. Like, I don't remember the last time they got one.
It's been a while.
Did they try one against the Giants? Actually, they did it this year. I think it was against the Giants they tried an onside kick.
Was it?
They made it 21-15, and I think they tried an onside. I could be wrong, but Hopkins is walking back out. Curious G, he set it up regularly the first time. They call a timeout, they adjust. Do you set it? Nope, he's setting up the same exact way. Vertical, normal.
You can't outsmart people with this too much.
Just do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, just see if cross your fingers, see if something comes up.
Here's the onside kick. He fakes right, goes left, and the Bengals recover. That is the game. Mike Gesicki gobbles it. Not a very good onside kick attempt, and with no timeouts, the Cleveland Browns will lose to the Cincinnati Bengals 21-24. They fall to 1-6 on the season. And guys, more disgusting in my opinion than the record.
21-14. You put us over 20 points. We still ain't did that yet.
No, the Bengals had 21.
Yeah, right.
You said we lost 21-24.
It's 21-14. Did I say 24?
Yeah.
I don't know. Wishful thinking.
21-14, they lose. They have fallen to 1-6. The Browns scoring 20 points we know is an impossible task so far this season as Joe Burrow takes a kneel down. But guys, we have to address the elephant in the room here. And you guys both mentioned the Deshaun Watson injury. Whether you were a Deshaun Watson fan, whether you despised Deshaun Watson, whether you appreciated him as a player, thought he was terrible, disagreed with his off-field actions, whatever the case may be, I thought the behavior of some Browns fans to boo Deshaun Watson and then cheer as the cart came out for the injury, so essentially boo him as he's getting hurt and then cheer for the injury, I think it's vile and disgusting behavior by Browns fans. I'm not going to lie. And it really irked me the wrong way, getting texts from people inside the stadium saying that Browns fans were cheering for the injury in a way that you shouldn't. I even go back to the Nick Chubb injury against Pittsburgh last year. Do you remember Nick Chubb saying it was crazy to hear the support I got from Steelers fans, knowing I'm an enemy, inside enemy territory, and they had my back, and they supported me? Listen, everyone has their own opinion on Deshaun Watson. I've made it very clear. I think he should have been benched. He did not give this team the best chance to win. Whatever. I think cheering an injury is disgusting behavior, and I was disappointed to see so many different factions of the Browns fan base trying to take a victory lap because a dude just potentially ended his career with an Achilles injury. There was even Browns players that were going over to the stands, guys, telling fans to shut up. Like, this isn't how we behave. This isn't how we're supposed to handle ourselves in these situations. And to see players have to take that in their own right and take that responsibility upon themselves, it was disappointing. And I was disappointed in Browns fans because I think as a collection, they're better than that, and maybe they're not. I know they booed Baker's injury. I know they booed Tim Couch's injury back in the day. I think booing any injury, plain and simple, pretty classless behavior. I don't know about you guys, but I was disappointed.
You know, listen, go ahead, Earl. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I already know, G, you got some strong comments, man. I'm just gonna get mine out the way so you can cook. So I'm just read this one tweet. It's from a dude, Marshawn Powers. He said, I'm here at the bank, and I'll say rooting for an injury will never sit right with me. Never. I've never been so uncomfortable amongst my own fan group while hearing them slap high fives and cheering for a season-ending injury. This is how I feel. You don't have to agree with me. You can jump in the comments and you can say whatever the hell you want to say about me. I think that if you are a person that sat there and you cheered loud and proud because Deshaun Watson got hurt, you're a trash individual. And if you think Deshaun Watson is a trash individual, you just as trash as Deshaun Watson is for your behavior. Under no circumstance do you operate like that. I don't know like what your moral code is or what you was raised on, but like I was raised on, God don't like ugly, and you don't match evil with evil. And just because you feel some type of way about some type of body, like you don't do stuff like that. You know, don't no good come to you when you sit up there and you act like that and you behave like that. And that's embarrassing as a fan base to have the players on the field to go over to the fans and tell y'all to actually shut up. Telling somebody to shut up is disrespectful. So for them to feel like that they had to match all type of energy and tell you to literally shut up because they thought y'all behavior was pathetic, like it says a lot about you. And to see like on social media and to hear from people that's at the game that don't like Deshaun Watson, saying how pathetic and how poor and how trash that behavior is, it says a lot about those people. Even they got a line in the sand that they draw. But if you somebody that was really out there high-fiving and cheering loud and proud and, you know, taking victory laps because he got hurt, like you're no better than what you think he is based off what he accused of. Like it's just a different type of dirty rag. A dirty rag is a dirty rag. And so like that's pathetic behavior. It did make me uncomfortable. And a lot of Browns fans right now are very uncomfortable because that's not cool. Again, don't matter what you think of somebody or what somebody did done. Like just because that person is in that position, you ain't got to stoop to that level and match that type of energy. You better than that.
G.
Well, listen, man. You know, I just took a liberty to, you know, I just use it in an opportunity to block people. You know, it's just all. Listen, I don't.
So are you blocking anyone who was applauding the injury? Anyone who's saying thank goodness Deshaun got hurt?
That's a sucker move. I wish I could block them in real life.
Yeah,
I don't want to be around people like that. I don't want them people beside me. I don't want you. I don't even want to wear the same jersey that you're wearing. Let me be clear. Just because you cheer for somebody and we cheer for the same color and team, don't mean you're a good person. I don't want to be. Listen, I'd rather hang out with Steeler fans because at least the Steeler fans did what was right and cheered Nick Chubb on their field. See, there's a lot of people in here, and I always talk about this fan base. This ain't the same fan base with the dog pound when we came back. We got a lot of suckers since 1999. When you lose a lot, you do a lot of different things, and you get used to losing, and then all these little half dudes just jump in the fan base, and now you feel like you can boo. I was against it when you booed Tim Couch. It was a sucker move. We talked to Tim Couch, and he talked about as talking to Tim Couch. We said he said how that still hurts his in his heart.
Yeah,
like it's a bunch of people that ain't out there for nobody but themselves, and they only want to see entertainment like these two just toy soldiers, bro. Like they talk about people like they garbage. They talk about people like they trash. They talk about people because they got a lot of money. Well, listen, if you're booing. Boo, you're not successful in life. You're not going to be anything in life. And nobody wants that type of energy around them. I wish them people would get the hell out the fan base because you did it once with Tim Couch. You did it with Baker. Now you did it with Deshaun Watson. Why do you think nobody wants to play here? Y'all think, see, this is why I want to get to you. They don't want to be in Cleveland. They want to be in Cleveland. No, we don't want to be in Cleveland. You think players that see this want to come play for you?
It's the media's fault, G. The media's too mean to him. Nah, it ain't that. Ain't that. Trust me.
How can you see a man? This goes to your human moral compass. How can you see a man on the field breaking down, and your first reaction is to laugh at him? If that was your kid, if that was your son, why would you feel? I wouldn't do none of that. To nobody on here. I don't care if you blocked me, hated me. If something happened to you, I'm physically like, dang, bro, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. moving forward. That's my moral compass. What I stand on is what God tells me to do. My job is to reach out to people and to leave this place a different place than I got here. I don't give a damn about your entertainment value and what you think about the Cleveland Browns. If you got a different moral compass than me, stay the hell around from me. We don't want you in the fan base. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be about the people. It's supposed to be about us being a community, supporting our team. And you don't support your community and you don't support your team because it don't matter if it's black, white, whatever, rich or poor. You did it with Tim Couch. You did it with Baker. Now you did it with Deshaun Watson. And you did it with Odell Beckham Jr. too when he got hurt in Cincinnati. This fan base is the same people that we gave a bad name. That's why Sam White said, you live in Cincinnati, you don't live in Cleveland. Tighten up.
So we got that out of the way. DTR came in, replaced Deshaun. They scored on the opening drive. When DTR replaced Deshaun, Nick Chubb obviously scored the touchdown. We'll talk about Nick Chubb's return in a sec. But let's evaluate DTR from what we saw today, guys. Tough to get a full read considering he, didn't find out he was going to be the backup quarterback until Friday afternoon. He took none of the first-team reps in practice. Deshaun, obviously, as the starter, took all of those. So it's hard to get a full gauge on what we saw. It's similar to the Baltimore situation last year where he found out just 2 hours before kickoff he was going to be the starter. But I'm not going to lie. Earl, I texted you. I thought it looked like Pablo Sanchez from Backyard Football running around back there. Throwing off the back foot. It looked like when you recruit a scrambler quarterback in the new college football game and you just run around, try to make something happen, big play every time. DTR did not look good. He had some drops. The offensive line let him down. We'll talk about Jed Wills in a sec too. That was a catastrophe in its own right. They had way too many offensive penalties. They have 41 accepted penalties against the offense now through 7 games, which is just ridiculous. But I had high hopes for DTR. I'm not going to make any sweeping judgments until I see him with a full week of practice. He looked dynamic in the read options. But all in all, I thought he made some pretty bad passes, 2 interceptions. One bounced off Tillman's hands. The other one was just an objectively horrific pass. Elijah Moore either didn't know the ball was coming, didn't know the right play, didn't know the route, or DTR just threw it to nobody. But I was not overly impressed in the glimpses we saw from DTR today. And the Browns are going to have another quarterback controversy moving forward. Jameis or DTR? Earl, what'd you see from DTR in his 2024 season debut?
I seen a dude that got some mobility. Seen a dude that was willing to move his legs, get out of his pocket. DTR need to learn how to be a little bit more disciplined, man. He's a little reckless with his body, but I thought the very first play call for DTR was interesting. It was a shot to the end zone immediately. We'll get a true evaluation of DTR, next week, as I'm pretty sure. I don't know how the finger injury is, but I think at this point, with the Browns being 1-6, we know what Jameis Winston is. I think the Browns know what Jameis Winston is, but you really don't know what DTR is. And if you go back to the preseason, the Browns was willing to move on from Jameis Winston. They was willing to entertain trade offers because they felt like DTR had grown enough to be the number 2. When the news came out today about the injury report and how they decided to stack the quarterbacks, everybody found that alarming. What we didn't know is that we would actually see DTR today. And so it'd be interesting to see if he gets to start going forward. Clearly, the Browns are eliminated from any playoff talk, any postseason, whatever the case may be. And now it's evaluation time for real. And, a lot of decisions is going to have to be made towards the end of the season. And certain players you got to put out there and evaluate and see what you have in them. So we'll see what it looks like going forward. But it wasn't a strong performance today, that's for sure. Cedric Tillman had a strong game, though. Cedric Tillman has actually stepped up and had a pretty damn solid game.
Making my bold prediction this year, Earl, had a chance at life. It was dead on life support, and now it's coming back with a ferocity.
That was the biggest. Yeah, that was the biggest one.
Boy, let me tell you this. That's all nice. DTR, that good stuff. Let me come back and just give you that real truth, Mom. I told you 4 weeks ago. I said, if it don't work out for Deshaun Watson, I don't know why people doing victory laps. If it don't work out, you in a world of hurt. So let me get this right. So now it's all off the table now. So the Watson card is done. That's completely removed from the equation. So you can't say nothing. It's done. It's completely finished. It looks like he's going to be done for the season. I'm just speculating here, but given what I kind of see and what I know from having that injury, it's done. So that's off the table. You can't be like, oh, Deshaun Watson did everything and blah, blah. The Amari Cooper chip is off the table. Can somebody give me his stat line? Somebody give me
67 yards and a touchdown today. And the touchdown, G, I'm not sure if you saw it. It was on a play where he had no idea what the route was. Keon Coleman literally pointed out the route to him as the play was going on because Josh Allen checked mid-play. And he looked at Keon Coleman like, what's that mean for me? I'm new here. I don't know. Okay. Keon pointed, goes this way, that way. Scores a post route on a touchdown. It's pretty cool, actually.
Okay, pretty dope. So you no more Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper was the fall. Okay, that's out the table. We already know the old off the table. They got rid of Van Pelt. That you can't use that excuse no more. Odell Beckham Jr. just doesn't fit. We don't know how we're gonna move with that. That's off the table. Baker Mayfield. I don't know if he's really a good quarterback. I don't know if he's worth that type of money. He's off the table. Guys, the crosshairs are directly on your leadership right now. Anybody that was putting the cape on for Kevin Stefanski, congratulations. You have what you wanted. We're going to have an opportunity to see what Kevin Stefanski does when in this offense with a new quarterback, he gets to choose. Barry made the option to go after who? They let Flacco go, and they got Jameis Winston, make him look good. They got DTR. They'd have moved a lot of people. They moved Huntley and everybody. DTR's our guy. They got him. You made the pick. That's one of your picks. Make him look good. You got Nick Chubb back. Remember when Nick Chubb comes back, where everything's going to be good, right? And guys, we're ready to go. Well, Nick Chubb is back. Well, guess what? Let me tell you this. You suddenly is really healthy right now. Juan Thornhill back today. David Njoku is back today. You got Jed Wills. You got Conklin. The only lineman not playing is Wyatt Teller. So all of a sudden, you got a whole team full of people ready to go, and you got a way to run your offense, right, Kev? Before it was held up because Deshaun Watson didn't like that. He couldn't run that, remember? Now you got the option to run exactly what you want. Damn it, get it done, because I'm watching. All that other little stuff, guess what? It's right on y'all's neck right now. It's irrefutable. The comment section is on fire. Guess what? You can't tune in every week and say it's Watson. It's right on your head coach, right on your general manager, and they will not survive it if they don't play better than they did today. They won't be survived. We'll be looking at a whole new rebuild, boys and girls. How's that like? How you feel about that?
When you have the number one overall pick, which is, or number one or two, the Browns currently have the second pick. New England would have the first pick. But regardless of where they're picking, we are headed for a rebuild. At 1-6 now, they are essentially all but eliminated from playoff contention. I don't think anyone is going to think DTR or Jameis Winston, whoever they roll out at quarterback next week, is going to lead some sort of 10-game winning streak here to bring them back to relevance and close out the season in fashion. So, yeah, we are looking at a complete and total rebuild. You have the most expensive offense in the league that's yet to score 20 points in a game, that's yet to eclipse 300 yards of total offense, that's yet to really look explosive in any form, fashion, whatever you want to say. It's been a disappointment, and Kevin Stefanski deserves a lot of the blame. The players deserve a lot of the blame. We mentioned the penalties. Andrew Berry is equally as culpable, in my opinion, for his over-evaluation of certain guys, and I'll point to the receivers today in particular. Andrew Berry has not drafted receivers well. We know the long history: Anthony Schwartz, DPJ, David Bell. The list goes on. A couple more guys who haven't panned out. So what does he do? He decides to trade for some. He gave up draft assets, albeit small draft assets, for Jerry Jeudy, but he gave legitimate draft assets for Elijah Moore. And today, Jerry Jeudy, 5 targets, 1 reception, 18 yards, and Elijah Moore did have 6 catches for 40 yards, bunch of dump downs on third downs and long late. And they're not impact guys. You look at the offensive line, could have addressed the offensive tackle in the draft. They took Mike Hall Jr., who in 2 games has yet to really make a significant impact. You could have addressed your aging tackles in the draft. Jed Wills today was a turnstile, multiple times letting Trey Hendrickson blow by him as if I was blocking him.
But he's just average, though. McNuggets, he's average. He's below average. I don't think Wills is that bad. I just don't. I think he. Mikey, right?
He's bad, and they just have a lot of guys on this roster. You can even say the cornerbacks, like Newsome and Emerson didn't. Newsome got got on that one back shoulder throw. That's a perfect pass. Sometimes you just got to tip your hat. Perfectly placed ball from Burrow. But they have a lot of guys who they were counting on to play better and didn't address certain positions because they trusted the guys they already had. And almost every decision they've made in that facet, G and Earl, has backfired. Not a single one has come to fruition in a way they had expected and the Browns needed to have a successful 2024 season. And that is why at 4:37 on October 20th, to cap off one of the most miserable Cleveland sporting weekends in recent memory, we are here officially declaring the Cleveland Browns dead. Time of death, 4:37. Cause of death, lack of talent, lack of good coaching, and a bad general manager this year. Earl?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fire sale. So I'm pretty sure everybody's seen the report from Adam Schefter this morning that the Lions were kind of poking around about Zadarius Smith. You know, I said on the radio earlier today that I was kind of gonna reserve until after this game. Zadarius Smith might have just played his last game as a member of the Cleveland Browns. I think at this particular point, anybody who is on the last year of their contract and is not a part of the Cleveland Browns plans for 2025, then they're more than likely are going to be traded, and the Browns are going to try to add as much draft capital as they possibly can. I just think this is really at the point that we're at now. You're going to assess, you're going to evaluate, you're going to look at these guys that's playing on the final year of their contract and guys that you are going to make a decision on, okay, is this person a part of 2025? If not, you might as well move on for them now and get as much draft capital as you can, because this season is a wash. The season is done. And even if you gather the draft capital, you kind of got to question if you want Andrew Berry being the guy that's making those next round of picks.
I don't trust him.
I don't.
If you conducted the fire sale, and I don't trust Kevin Stefanski to coach him. Like, what do you like? We talk. This is the repercussions of talking about Super Bowl before the season to now where we're at. Right? This is like you're 1-6. There's no way you could be a team talking about Super Bowl aspirations with a reigning defensive player of the year coming off his best season, with getting Nick Chubb back this year, and then you come back and you talk about 1-6. No, that's the repercussions of the game, bro. Like it's crazy that people. If you Andrew Berry, what good does having a fire sale happen when you're not even going to be there to help, live and benefit from them picks?
No,
why would I trade everybody?
It's a good point, because in Andrew Berry's mind and Stefanski, maybe like we have to win 7-8 games this year to keep our job. We're not going to trade guys. So it is an interesting dynamic in the front office. And I'm curious, they got extensions this offseason. We have no idea if it's a 1-year extension or a 74-year extension. Those details were never revealed. But if Berry and Stefanski are having those conversations with Haslam, because I can't imagine, Gigi, you're right, if Jimmy says, hey, I know he gave an extension, but I'm not scared to pull the trigger and bring in someone new if you guys can't fix it. He has no incentive to make those trades, when in reality, the best move for the franchise is to get draft capital so you can start this rebuild as quickly as possible.
Do you want, let's just keep it real. Like, this is reason why people, y'all could get mad at us. Right? You can get mad at us. We didn't make the picks, right? You can get mad at us, right? You get mad. Gee, I don't understand. Here's the thing. If you like this McNuggets, if you watch Kevin Stefanski and how he handled Baker, and you watch Kevin Stefanski and how he handled Deshaun Watson, and you watch Kevin Stefanski, how he handled OBJ and Amari Cooper, how is it not the same thing repeating itself?
I have to plead the fifth on the Baker one because that was before I got here. And Odell, I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem like there's some sort of disconnect between the best guys on offense. You see the defensive guys he's connected fine with, but from an offensive standpoint, it seems like he has yet to get the most from the guys you expect. And here's my fear. We saw last year with the change of quarterbacks, Flacco, DTR, Walker, that's when Stefanski got the most out of those guys, right? He's able to pull the most out of the Jacoby Brissetts of the world and wring those towels dry of all their talent. He had Brissett leading the Browns with a top 10 offense. If Winston comes in or DTR and they look competent again, and the Browns decide we need to draft a star quarterback, is the cycle, like, I'm going to just say Shedeur, right? We could argue who should be the pick. I'm just going to use Shedeur for an example. Does the cycle go right back to, well, Stefanski can't get the most out of Shedeur, but his backup, I don't know who the backup will be in 4 years, but that's the guy that, like,
this is the third time. This is the third. Like, so if I'm the owner, And then think about it like this. Even if he gets him to operate at the highest levels, do you want your number one quarterback operating at the Baker Mayfield highest level while he was here?
Well, you'd hope it's a lot higher than that.
But I ain't seen it. Where have we seen it?
I want to respond to the super chat right here because that was going to be my next statement. So I think that Jimmy Haslam should do whatever it takes to probably make up with John Dorsey. I think I'll go to John Dorsey and I'll offer John Dorsey whatever amount of money that it is he wants to come back and run my football organization. So I talked to Darren Smith last week and we got to talking about, John Dorsey's track record. Now, he's covered the Kansas City Chiefs for over 10 years now. And he said that John Dorsey was directly responsible for the Chiefs drafting Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. We all know the notable picks that he made here. Baker clearly has been the best quarterback since the Browns returned in 1999. We know what we got in Nick Chubb. Denzel Ward has been a baller. We can say that he missed on Austin Corbett, but Corbett went to the LA with the Rams, was a starter, won a Super Bowl, and had a pretty decent career since then. You look at what he's done since he's been in Detroit, right? Like he's had a hand in rebuilding that team and the talent that team has acquired over the last 3 years. And I said this last week, Andrew Berry inherited a John Dorsey built team. And has he done some things to add on to it? Yeah, but more often than not, like the players that he selected via the draft didn't work out. I think you all went through the list last week. It's like one starter on our offense from an Andrew Berry draft, and that was Jed Wills in his very first draft. And so when you just look at it, I think I don't know if ego's gotten away. I don't know if Paul D. Podesta had a say so in the matter, but it seems like John Dorsey was shown the door because he hired the wrong coach and Freddie Kitchens, and he didn't get an opportunity to correct his wrongs for whatever reason. But if I'm Jimmy Haslam, that's the dude I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he'd leave Detroit right now, unless it was a boatload of money.
But he's an assistant over there. He's not even a lead guy. So that's what I'm saying. Like I will offer him a boatload of money because he really don't have no other incentive to leave. But it's a thought that's been in my head. So the person who sent that super chat in, I don't think they far off with that opinion.
Man, this gonna be nasty because I trust me. I know why y'all don't like extrapolating and going down these, they be thinking we in the conspiracy theories, but 9 times out of 10 cats be right, bro. Like you're dealing with a full-blown rebuild and nobody wants a full-blown rebuild. It's easier for people to palate. All right, let's get a new quarterback and try to run it back. Mm-hmm. Right. It's easier to say, let's get a new general manager. Cause at least there's some guardrails. How bad can you choose players if you drafted in the top 10? You can't be that bad. But the problem is this: when you're dealing with all three, now it's too many variables. Now at least for 4 years, we know what the ceiling is for these guys in this group. When you go back into the offseason and you say we got to start all the way over, everybody is freaking out because there's too many things that can go wrong. The general manager could be garbage. You can't even judge him for 3 years. The coach, who knows what he's going to be? Then you're talking
2-3 years minimum.
He get 2-3, and then you drafted another quarterback. So I get it. Like I understand why people are very they don't want to even talk about moving and getting quarterbacks and all three of them at once, because if one thing goes wrong, we just went through 1-31 and we missed on all of those things. We missed on the quarterback. We fired our general manager. Then we brought in another head coach. We looked like we missed on that. And we got another. It's too many variables. That's why people don't like that. And I get it.
Let's talk about one last facet of this game, and then we'll get to some super chats. But Nick Chubb did make his 2024 season debut today. Guys, I live about 1.5 miles from the stadium. When he ran out onto the field for opening ceremonies, I could hear the cheers from the stadium on out of my windows. He had a touchdown, a much-deserved touchdown. I know Earl and I cashed out on the Nick Chubb anytime touchdown bet with FanDuel, which was a nice little win, considering the Browns lost. But what'd you think of Nick Chubb in his debut? 11 carries, 22 yards in that touchdown. He had a 5-yard run, was his longest. He did have a catch. Earl, what'd you think of Chubb?
My expectations was for Nick Chubb to get out there, get his feet wet, and walk off the football field at the end of the game healthy. I think all of us as fans was just happy to see him out there. Of course, you can tell there was some rust there. He hadn't played football in about 13 months, something like that. Like I think they said it was like 398 days since the last time he was on a football field. But you seen his demeanor when the cameras kind of like, they zoomed in on him on the sidelines before the Browns actually got the ball. He seemed like he was locked in, probably a little nervous, probably a little anxious. But for me, what I thought of Chubb was like, I was just happy as hell he was out there playing football. Like I was happy to see him get hit and get up. You can kind of see that he was starting to kind of like bounce around and get a flow. And then for whatever reason, the Cleveland Browns stopped running the football. But whatever, I'll talk about that tomorrow. This ain't the day for that.
Gee, what do you think of Nick Chubb's debut?
Listen, I think the best play that Nick Chubb made was diving back, picking up a blitzer, and being like, he's like, dang, I gotta be Batman early. Yeah, you do, Nick. This is a different team. He came back like he's like, yo, I gotta be covering. Like I thought he did a pretty good job. He caught the one pass, but more than anything, I think more than anything, what it shows is, it's just a dose of reality. There was a lot of people who felt like, Nick was going to come back and just, he had some nice moments. I had chills when he scored the touchdown in the first half. But I think a lot of times people thought that Nick Chubb was going to come back and save the day and he'd rush for 130 yards and the Browns would win over the Bengals. But, you saw in that game, you saw the deficiencies up front. There's no push up there. The blocking schemes and assignments are not there. They don't have the type of run game, the dynamic run game that they used to have, and the scheme that they had under Bill Callahan in the run game. So now you're trying to force Nick Chubb to, get carries, a shotgun and different things like that. So yeah, he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't going to come back and dominate that. And this is what people have been talking about all year. Like this game is a mirror game. You hold the mirror up to the people in the fan base and say, listen, we told you before this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, this is really bad. But now you come to the realization when you see Nick Chubb come out there and it don't look the same. When guess what? The quarterback changes and there's still guys in the backfield. By the way, Jet Wills is the worst lineman I've pretty much ever seen. He's the worst lineman I've ever seen. And the reason he's not the worst lineman because I dislike him, he's the worst lineman because he has one thing that he lacks, and it's called effort. He lets people go and watches quarterbacks get killed. Then he doesn't even reach down to help him that fast. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's never been that good. By the way, Joel Bitonio, it's time for him to hang it up. This is his last year. If I was his agent, I'd come out and say it right now. Joel is finished. This is his farewell lap. He's doing his victory lap on this one. Like the offensive line is in tatters. And, I'm waiting to see next week because I'm going to be watching. We said it's an evaluation. I want to see what you do when it get week of game planning. You now have Chubb. You now are going to either play DTR or Jameis Winston. You have a week to change whatever you're going to change up front, whatever. Everything is intact. I want to see what it looks like next week. That's a true judge of what Kevin Stefanski is going to be.
Yeah, it was good to see Nick Chubb back. The touchdown was awesome. The entrance was terrific. We should have known today was going to be terrible when Flava Flav couldn't break the guitar as the honorary guitar smasher.
Hey, first of all, before we even get to the fact that he couldn't break it, who the hell said it was a good idea to have Flava Flav?
Bro, has the bar gone that? Is UCSS going to be the next one to try to smash the guitar?
Like, I get it. It's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction weekend. Like, Mary J. Blige couldn't do it. Method Man was in town. He couldn't do it. Like, Flava Flav.
Yeah,
that's what y'all gave us.
No. So it was good to see Chubb back. Like I said, I had probably the lowest expectations of anyone for his return just because I had no idea what to expect. So I went in low, hoping if we got anything, it'd be a pleasant surprise. It was actually funny. The first carry he got on 3rd and 3, there was a lane there, and Jack Conklin was so slow getting from the right side to the left side. He forced Nick Chubb to hesitate, and then Chubb got tackled short. There was actually a great hole had Jack Conklin been there and been fast enough to open it for Nick Chubb, and it's just the perfect encapsulation of the season.
I'm glad he got the touchdown, though, because the ref was hating on him. That ref was hating on him. Like when he scored the touchdown originally, and then they called done for that neutral zone,
that was
zone
stupid.
infraction.
That was
I've never
dumb.
seen
That was
offsides on the
stupid.
offense.
That was a BS penalty, man. Like how you take that moment away from him, man, and you knew the fans was ready to go crazy. So like ref was hating on that one to be, but I'm glad he got his anyway.
They be doing that little, and that's part of just the Cleveland stuff, man. Like refs come into these games and they be like, "Oh, it's the Browns." Like there's no. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what the way the Browns. I'm gonna tell you when you're a bad team.
Mike don't like that.
Nah.
Real quick. The offsides call, they throw the flag before the play, but it doesn't stop the play. It's like defensive offsides. It's a free play that then comes back.
Mikey, you know this. When you're a bad team, you get no benefits of the doubts. None.
I agree. I'm just saying.
No. I'm just saying on the field. I played on good teams and I played on bad teams. When you play on good teams, you got good players.
Oh,
they look 100%. Like maybe he didn't hold on that play. That's so and so. But when it comes to bad teams, when it comes to the Browns, it's automatic. Oh, the Browns got.
They was like, I don't even know who done it. Is
wrong.
So there's a no-name player getting a flag.
Yeah. Like, we don't even know who done is anyway. We're gonna throw this.
Who's that flag? But he's garbage. Who's done?
Yeah, I'll end it with this, and then we'll get the super chats. We'll say goodbye to our Bleacher Report audience. Make sure you guys check us out. If you're watching on Bleacher Report, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, with us three, Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd, Dustin Fox, on YouTube Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 p.m. Just search the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Impossible to judge what the offense looked like after Deshaun went down. Next week, show us what you got, Stefanski. Like, it's all on you. Like, you get the half pass this week, but next week, the spotlight, the pressure, the bullseye, the target, however you want to phrase it, all eyes are on Kevin Stefanski. And G, you said it earlier, the guardrails are off. I think Kevin Stefanski is a pretty good coach who's been a very bad coach this season. I am reserving the right to change my opinion on all of that from week 8, which is next week, to the end of the year, because you have now solely put the onus on what can you do to elevate your guys. And it's a little suspicious, and not in like a fishy, dirty, like malpractice intent, bad intent kind of way. But it is just weird that he can't get the same level of execution from some better players like he can from lesser talented guys. And we're going to see now with DTR and Jameis, the offense is either going to look exactly the same or it's going to flourish. And if it flourishes, then it means we knew we had a Deshaun problem. And if it doesn't, well, we got a Stefanski problem, and we're going to find out one way or another by the end of the season.
You know how you take your car to that diagnostic, they put it on the machine? You got the check engine light, and when that check engine light come on, like that's already 2,000 immediately. Like if they put it on the machine, that you already. Hey, listen, Earl. Hey, listen. You know how it is. We didn't have to turn whole cars in. like they said, what happened to the whip? Man, look, bro. I had to go ahead. Look, bro. They put it on. Listen, they put on that diagnostic machine. You either need a new engine. You either need the engine, transmission, any of that, any mission parts, you're dead. And they about to put that diagnostic machine on the Browns right now. They got it on. Listen, I'm waiting to see. If you're a Browns fan, you should be interested in these games because we're going to find out if he really the 2-time coach of the year. Show me.
Shockingly, the season just got a lot more interesting. Because they're now eliminated, so you're simply focused on the future. And we're going to find out a lot of answers that we may not have been able to find out had certain things not changed. I'm going to say goodbye to Bleacher Report. We're going to get to some super chats. Thank you for watching us on the Bleacher Report app. Make sure you guys download the Bleacher Report app for all your local team content. If you want to hear the super chats from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show's YouTube page, find us on YouTube right now. We're going to read those super chats. We got 25 of them. Later, Bleacher Report. And we are back now solely on YouTube for super chats. We have 26 super chats. We're going to get to these as quickly as we can. Skilly says, definitely wanted to see a change at quarterback. However, always hate to see someone go down with an injury like that. Silver says, any chance that this was Stefanski's last game? Vrabel time, dark times ahead for the Cleveland Browns. Also, Barry sucks. Just look at Trash Can Wills. I don't think he's getting fired after this game, but if it does not improve, G, Earl, agree on that. It could be his last season. 5 games, G?
No, I'm saying bye-bye. Listen, he's going to have to tough this one out. I'm going to see the rest of the season. I want 17.
I think for me, G, I think it's going to depend on how emotional Jimmy Haslam is. Like, if Jimmy is like overly pissed off and he's frustrated, he might be fired tonight. Who knows? Like, I just really think, because mind you, Jimmy is the one that has some high expectations too, not just the fans, not just the media. You know, he handed out contract extensions. He heard the noise, right?
A lot of money.
So a lot of money been handed out. So I don't know. Like, it depends on what type of mood Jimmy is in. Like, you know, he might be walking in that boy.
And
like,
we ain't seen Baltimore yet, Earl. We ain't had a division game yet, except for today.
Man.
Come on.
Next up, Carrie says, why is it so hard for this team to score?
We're going to find out, Carrie.
Myriad of issues we addressed earlier, but there's a lot of problems with this team right now. Nicole says Winston needs to start going forward. We're going to find out. If DTR got hurt at the end making a tackle on the interception he threw, we'll see how injured he actually is.
Hey, and by the way, DTR is kind of reckless, bro.
Kind of. You see the hit he took on the read option instead of just running out of bounds, he got flown in the air, and I swear, G, he stuck his arm out like this.
I'm like, what are you doing?
I was so terrified he was going to land on that arm and his bone was going to split.
Hey, DTR ain't no better, man. The Browns look like, man, they was going to need 3 new quarterbacks by next week, the way these dudes was out here playing. So, yeah they got to be a little bit more controlled than that.
Blank 964 said the fans cheering while he was hurt are trash. They did this with Tim Couch and Derek Anderson got hurt. Sometimes our fans are a joke. P. Rothstein 216 said, as bad as we played, the defense only gave up 14, and if we could tackle on special teams, the gate might have been different. But oh well, same old Browns. Actually, we should give the Browns defense some credit, considering the offense gave them nothing. They did a great job holding the Bengals in check. No points allowed in the first half. They had 2 touchdowns in the second. Today might have been their best defensive performance of the season. In all seriousness,
I agree. They just happened to catch Greg Newsome. They just happened to catch Newsome on.
As a great throw, great. I mean, sometimes you just
can't. He got hit with the Allen Iverson step over. Did you see that?
Yeah. And then he was arguing with the referee after.
He did his L's. Yeah, boy.
Charles T says all the Browns NFL players that heard those cheers when Watson got hurt will remember that. Do you think fans think that makes players want to come to Cleveland? That's what we talked about earlier. Set Apart Laz says, like I said, players can't win with this fan base. James Baker says, wait, human moral compass for a sexual predator. Next up, Evan 409 says, all Flavor Flav's fault. Blame it on Flav. G. Bush's bad neck says, for fans to be happy to see Deshaun go down is why I say this is one of the worst fans in all of sports, and I will stand 10 toes down on that. Those people are sick and sad. Mike Redaway says, if you cheered for Deshaun's injury, then you are not a real Browns fan, and you can go bleep yourself. Go cheer for another team. That's disgusting. DSDO Records says Moore was running a clear out route on the interception, wasn't looking for the ball, not on him. Next up is Thomas Brown. Earl, that sucker stuff. We want to win. Winston won. Not sure what that means.
I don't know.
Set Apart Last says, if you cheered for Watson's injury, we don't need you. Charles T said, Deshaun got hurt. Offensive line almost blew Chubb's touchdown with the flag. They still can't block. Wide receivers still don't know what to do in drops. No more Deshaun to blame for everything. Wheeler Visual says, our Browns have given up on us. Set Apart Laz says, the onus solely on Kevin Stefanski now. Dallas Reed says, worst fan base in the league, and I'm a fan. They cheered, and it's weird. They were all white for the most part, cheered for Flacco with good energy, and he did good. Wonder how it would be if we could try being positive for a change. You mentioned this one earlier. Earl, bring back John Dorsey. Gleazy Baby 43 said, I'm disgusted to be a Browns fan. The level of cheers coming from Deshaun's injury, blaming Deshaun and not looking at how much worse we are without him. Evan says, please be our next GM. Only condition is you must be perfect the first 3 years or you're fired. No time to learn from your mistakes is why we're ass. Let's address that real quick. Is 4 years, this is the 4th year. So 3 years and I guess 3.5 now. Is that enough time to fairly evaluate a GM and head coach?
Sure it is. I don't know. Listen, I used to work as a manager. I had 35 direct reports. I used to interview, hire those individuals. And guess what? If they left after 6 months or weren't performing, they got me together after a few weeks. It wasn't there is no 3 years of track record. You get a review every 2-3 weeks. What do you mean 6 months? Like, what do you mean the 3 whole years? Of course, that's enough time. You got to think about it. He
It's
has
also 4 years, by the way. I messed up. It's 4.5 years. Not 3.
So he's been here 4.5.
2020, 2021, 22, 23, and then this is the half a year 4.
The 2 big things I want to know is, and I've always asked this question: if you are a Baker bro, who do you give blame that they got rid of Baker? Can y'all put that in the chat? Because I want to know, because sometimes you guys blame a lot of people, but I want to know who you specifically blame that the Browns evaluated Baker Mayfield and said that he was not the guy. Who are you putting that on?
Earl, 4.5 years enough to evaluate a coach and a GM?
Yes.
I've actually changed my stance on this. I used to think they needed like 4 to 5 years, unquestionably, undoubtedly, like you had to have that to get some sort of valuation. I've actually cut that number down. I think you could do a lot worse than Barry and Stefanski. I'm not sure if they're great. You know what I mean? Like I've seen much worse regimes. I've seen worse drafters. I've seen much worse coaches. Cleveland has seen much worse at both. I just don't know what their ceiling is.
Have we been Nuggets? You gave us the metrics. You're the stat guy. This is unequivocally the worst offense since 1999. It's unequivocally one of the worst offenses in the history of the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the year, we could look at it, but I'm not sure. And that's why I'm reserving judgment. Was that an issue of I can't trust my quarterback, and that's why we're doing a lot of things we had done. I think, you even tweeted Deshaun had become a check down Charlie today.
Yeah.
And when your quarterback's doing that, I just think you're handcuffed to a certain extent. So we're going to find out. Like, we're going to find out. And at this point, and I think we said it best earlier, the spotlight is solely on the management here, the leadership and management. And whether you think you know the answer today, in 11 weeks, we're going to have an answer one way or another. And at least that should be, what's the word I'm looking for? Not positive. At least you're going to get some finality here. You're going to get an answer one way or another. And if it's not the answer you want, then you move on. And if it's the answer and they prove they're the right guys to do it, then you have some more confidence moving forward. Cali Dog 330 says, why not start the rebuild in the trenches?
Because here's the thing, when you can rebuild in the trenches, we tried to do that. We drafted Jed Wills 10. That was a good rebuild in the trenches, right? You can miss on offensive linemen too.
Thomas in the top 5.
You can miss on linemen too.
Yeah.
Let's not get it twisted.
And if you don't have a quarterback, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you need a quarterback. That's the most important position. Nelson Gonzalez says Odell was Baker's fault. Baker was Baker's fault for wanting to play with the injury. Deshaun was Deshaun's own fault for what he did off the field. Stefanski's offense is good when the quarterback is competent, but Barry has missed a lot.
We're
gonna find out. That's beauty. We're gonna find out that exact thing in the next month and a half, 2 months.
We're gonna see.
Set Apart Laz says, what's the difference between last season and this season? Everything.
You can be exposed. Like these teams do homework. They're like, yeah, we know what's coming on this one. Like, people get better. Like, there's a saying, you either get better or you get worse. And the Browns have gotten worse and teams got better. Like, that's.
I just think for me, it's expectations. It just seems like every time the Cleveland Browns have a good season, we really don't expect them to. But when they have that good season and then they run it back the next year, we create these expectations of, okay, this season is going to be it. And it just seemed like, I can go 2007. Okay, the Browns won 10, 11 games. They fall short of the playoffs, but the offense was crazy, scoring a lot of points. The team was fun to watch. 08, they got all these primetime games. Even the NFL expected the Cleveland Browns to be good. And they wasn't. You go Kevin Stefanski's first year here, we make the playoff run. Okay, boom, it's only up from here. Ain't no way in hell we're not going to be a consistent playoff team. What happened? We missed the playoffs the next year. It just seemed like every time there's some realistic expectations set upon this team, we fail to meet those.
Being the hunter versus the hunted is quite a different predicament in professional sports. We have 4 more here, guys. Roaming Hut says, G. Bush had it right. Draft, who have they developed? The list is very short on that one. Jason Hodge says, who's going to be our draft pick this year? Who knows? But if they're drafting high, they're going to take a quarterback. Kumar Phillips Bay says, why Chase do the Newsome dance on TD and then punt it? I score a touchdown. Do whatever dance you want, bro.
Man, I told you.
You're right.
They called him slipping. They called him lacking over there. They said, "Oh, we got us one." Denzel Ward is off the field. I told you. Anytime Denzel Ward is off the field, it's like that in the hood, Earl. Yeah, you was tough. You was tough when Earl and them was around you. You was tough over on Kinsman. But guess what? We caught you on South Euclid. Get out of here. Beat down.
Two more. Now. Christian Story says, folks really thought changing the quarterback was going to help. This whole team's a joke. You can't evaluate it this week. Next week, we're going to find out.
We're going to get that. We're going to get that next week. I want to see. I want to find out.
And last but not least, Charles T said, guys, we held training camp at a country club. Can I say one thing about that real quick?
Thank you. Charles T, that's wild.
They did it last year at the Greenbrier, too, though. Like, they did it last year and made the playoffs for 5 quarterbers last year. I don't know how much
that sounds crazy.
I don't know how much of an effect that has. It is true, though.
Let me tell you something. That is the coldest thing I've ever heard. You know why? Because usually, you know where the Pittsburgh Steelers do their training camp at? They do it in some bum college away from their
right?
They do it in the middle of nowhere at a middle school with no running water. And the Browns went to the Greenbrier and chilled. Nobody.
I mean, they did make the playoffs last year doing it, but
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. I'm gonna have to steal that.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up for the 2-minute warning post-game show for the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Your Browns are 1-6. They lose 21-24. Deshaun suffered an Achilles injury. DTR came in. He got hurt. Jameis came in, led a touchdown drive. And the drama continues with the Cleveland Browns. We'll see you tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show starting at 11 a.m. For Earl, for G, I'm McNuggets.
Peace.
Deuces.